marks the one-year anniversary of the Occupy Wall Street movement in New York. All day long, hundreds of protesters have been taking to the streets of Lower Manhattan to continue the message of the 99%. Now, looking back over the last year, one of the most striking aspects of the movement was how little coverage the demonstrations got from the corporate press. Because of this lack of coverage from the news outlets, citizen journalism coverage of the movement flourished. Now, thousands of people took to the streets of Lower Manhattan and countless cities across the country in the weeks that followed. It wasn't Fox News, CNN, or MSNBC that brought us the images. It was people on the ground that were drawn into the movement, the live streamers. Here's just one example.
For those that are watching right now, for all rated holy, please tweet out, we just got raided. Multiple squad cars surrounded our vehicle right here. We were all pulled out, cuffed, and put up against the hood. A supervisor came by and fanned over to one of the other officers, and he pointed at us, swirled his finger. The police came over and uncuffed us and said, "We're sorry. Your car looks like something that another car we were looking for."
Now, it was regular people with cell phones and an internet connection that raised awareness of the growing divide between the rich and the poor, the toxic marriage between the government and corporations, and the special interest group that have taken the voice away from the American people. Live streaming gave the rest of us a chance to be right there on the ground, to see an unfiltered, first-hand account of what the movement was about, without having to hear the propagandistic commentary of the corporate-controlled press. Occupy Wall Street was founded on the notion of a leaderless movement, because in a real democracy, power comes from the people. So it would be unfair for me to just point out one person as today's hero. So instead, I want to highlight the live streamers who took it upon themselves to shine a light on the demands of the 99% and the brutal crackdowns by law enforcement agencies across the country against thousands of Americans. That's why the live streamers of Occupy Wall Street are today's heroes. So if they're the heroes, who's the villain? Well, I can't highlight our glorious villain without first sharing you a new development relating to the highly salacious Julian Assange affair. You know all that evidence supposedly linking Julian Assange to the sexual assaults of 2 women in Sweden, right? Well, it may have just gotten a little bit more questionable. The exciting thing is we're no longer playing the he said, she said game. We finally have something concrete. Yep, we've got condoms. You see, a forensic team in Sweden has just revealed a key piece of evidence in the case, an alleged condom that Assange tore while trying to have unprotected sex. And according to Sweden's loosely defined sex laws, that actually constitutes as rape. Here's the catch. It doesn't even contain his DNA. The condom was not tested at 1 but 2 forensic laboratories, and there was just no Assange trace to be found. So I guess the moral of the story is that the next time you're in Sweden, if you don't want to get charged with rape, you should just wear a condom at all times. Maybe Assange wouldn't have had this problem in the first place if his approach to sex was a little more like this.
I want you to know it. Practice safe sex.
So do I.
Okay, so all this condom talk is really just leading me to introduce you to this fine lady, Marian Nye. She's the Swedish Director of Prosecutions and the person responsible for reopening the case against Assange in 2010. Nye convinced Swedish authorities to go after Assange based on the fact that he was so clearly trying to flee and evade answering any questions, even though in Sweden, it's actually illegal to extradite anyone based on questioning alone. Marian wrote that, quote, "The preliminary investigation is at an advanced stage, and I consider that it's necessary to interrogate Assange in person regarding the evidence in respect to the serious allegations made against him." So, let me get this straight, Miss Nye. You can say with conviction that it's vital to interrogate Assange in person, but yet when asked what he's being charged with, you're the one that evades the question. Now, call me a skeptic, but perhaps you can't declare charges because you have no charges to declare. What Marian Nye did is build an entire investigation on an argument for extradition based on evidence that's just as flimsy as the condom. And in so doing, she's managed to defame and discredit a man who is yet to be charged with a real crime. And he's now stuck in an embassy indefinitely because of it. And that's why Marian Nye, the Swedish Director of Prosecution, is our villain of the day.